we don't get it, shut it down!
No justice.
DHS! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
Under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! Black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Oh, sure. Oh, sure, yeah. No, if you'd like to.
Sure, no problem. Okay.
Makes it a lot easier to put in a cop out.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
And I thought this was a quiet suburb. No peace! No peace!
No peace! Police!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What the? How do you spell fascist?
DHS!
How do you spell fascist?
DHS!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
How do you spell fascism?
Yes!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
It'll never be the same. All the time.
No KKK, no
No fascist USA!
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK!
blocking the intersection. Keep going.
George Floyd! George Floyd! Breonna Taylor! Breonna Taylor! All their names! All their names!
Elijah McClain, say his name! Elijah McClain!
Elijah McClain! Elijah McClain! Elijah McClain! Elijah McClain! Elijah McClain! Elijah McClain!
Tony McDade, say his name!
Tony McDade!
Tony McDade, say his name!
Tony McDade! Say his name!
Tony McDade!
Tony McDade! Say his name!
Tony McDade!
Say his name!
Tony McDade!
Say his name! Tony McDade!
Sandra Bland, say her name!
Sandra Bland! Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland!
Say her name!
Sandra Bland! Rayshard Brooks, say his name!
Rayshard Brooks! Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks!
Say his name!
Rayshard Brooks! Freddie Gray, say his name!
Say his name! Say his name!
Freddie Gray!
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 Say his name!
Freddie Gray! Trayvon Martin, say his name!
Trayvon Martin! Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Say his name!
Trayvon Martin!
Tamir Rice! Say your name!
Tamir Rice!
Say his 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 name!
Tamir Rice! No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
Police! No peace! No racists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No racists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No fascists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No fascists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No racists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No racists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No fascists!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No fascists!
Police! How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
You guys are wonderful. So, this is a little stem. Hey, thank God. We told you we could come. We're back.
Are you gonna shoot you in the knee? Bitch wants to know. Just wanna know.
Yeah, when you shoot peaceful protesters, they show up at your house to complain about it. Surprise!
My knee really hurts still, just for the record.
We said we would return, and here we are again.
Hey,
How's it going?
Well, better now. Geez, how's it going with you?
Hot.
No justice! No peace! No justice!
No peace!
No racism!
No peace!
No fascism!
No peace!
How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
Defund! Defund! DHS! Defund!
DHS!
Defund!
DHS!
Defund!
DHS!
Defund!
DHS!
All right, so we have to let cars by. Did we have some people who were in Portland today? Would they like to lead us off?
Trying to use the bathroom right now. Let's go.
Okay,
One moment, soon we'll be able to do that.
all right.
No justice!
No peace!
Make sure they hear it when they go by, right? Yeah, they're out here for something.
Yeah, man. Welcome back. Thanks. Good to be back, man.
You got one, Leo? Free them all! 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 Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all! Free them all!
Free them all! Flag and everything it stands for.
Free them all!
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 Hey, I'd like you to meet Adrian.
Free them all!
Free them all!
Would you like to
Free
read
them all!
Would I like to set up?
Yeah.
Free them all!
And,
Free them all!
you want me?
Well, I'm just trying to see if there's other
Is this Trump's scoop?
Okay.
Is this Trump's scoop?
the most polite.
Okay.
Let me ask.
Okay.
You guys just want me to tell you this?
Abolish DHS! Abolish DHS! Abolish DHS! DHS! Abolish DHS! Abolish DHS! Abolish DHS! Abolish DHS! DHS!
My first orchid.
Don't forget the 14th Amendment, y'all! Seems like you're in the business of it.
Supposed to be on the yard.
Don't forget the 14th Amendment, y'all. We got a car. What do we say when we got a car? No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No racism!
Police!
No fascism!
Police!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want it?
No!
We don't get it!
Shut it down!
We don't get it!
Shut it down!
We don't get it!
Shut it down!
Y'all know this one? If we don't get no justice!
Then you don't get no peace!
If we don't get no justice!
Then you don't get no peace!
If we don't get no justice!
Then you don't get no peace!
Justice!
Then you don't get no peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Defund!
That's correct. That's what's up.
Juan's right answer.
So is there anybody who wanted to talk? Did anybody want to have anything to say? So,
I could wow you guys with the tales of Portland if you want.
Aaron was just on the front lines in Portland and had personal experience with the federal contractors in Portland. When I drove out the bus,
We have a megaphone and the people's mic if you want either.
Say that again.
We have a megaphone over there and the people's mic if you want either, or you can just use your lungs.
You all right with speaking on camera or not?
I can speak on camera, yeah. Am I just talking from right here? Yeah. Yep. Cool. Yeah. So I went to Portland for a week, and while I was there, they used copious amounts of tear gas, as we've all seen on the live feeds. One of the most fucked up parts to me about the tear gas is right where we were protesting, there was a jail, and all of the tear gas kept wafting into the jails. So you had the people who were inside of it slamming on their panic buttons because they were stuck in their cells, unable to breathe. One of those people happened to be a pregnant woman. I don't know if you guys know much about tear gas, but tear gas is an aborticide. So that means means that she could very well lose her pregnancy from being stuck in a jail cell. Say the post office.
Yeah, the enemy's using a leaf blower down the street.
Reallocate! Reallocate!
Reallocate. Yeah, so one of the most messed up things was that while we were there, a woman who was pregnant was stuck inside of her jail cell, unable to breathe because tear gas was wafting into it. And tear gas being an aborticide means that she could very well lose her child from the now weeks-long amounts of tear gas that she's been exposed to while she was in there. I signed up to be there. I went on my own free will, knowing what I was going to be exposed to, but the people in that jail cell were stuck there. They did not opt to be there. And I feel like that needs to be more of a focal point, is that there were literal people who could not get away from that. While I was there, I was running around with some of the shields that you may have seen, the blue shields here. I was a security measure for medics because they specifically targeted medics. While I was there, they shot me in the knee with a rubber bullet because I was defending a negative. They originally aimed for my medic, so I stepped in front. The most fucked up part about that was that he shot me from about 10 feet away, directly in the knee, right here. I just got x-rays done on it. And he was behind the fence. So we weren't touching the fence, we weren't shaking the fence. There was no need or no call for him to be shooting at us at all, but he just did it. Are you an ally? Honk your horn if you're an ally.
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
She waved hi, so she might have been an ally. I don't know. But yeah, so there was really no reason for them to have been shooting at us, but they did anyway. They also broke my friend's ankle because they like to shoot tear gas canisters out of the launcher at medics' ankles. So as things start to ramp up here again, you might want to consider getting padded boots for your ankles because that is definitely a thing they like to do. Other than that, I mean, I don't really know what else I could say. They really targeted medics. They really targeted black leaders. If anybody has any questions about Portland, I can answer them.
What about the leaf blowers?
The leaf blowers were so badass. There was like 10 of them there. They're super effective for blowing the tear gas back at where it came from. Sorry, I don't like.
I'm thinking about the leaf blower down there. Maybe they learned from that and they're using it against us for noise.
Are they using it against us for noise? Well, maybe at least it's actually blowing shit around. It's fine. We have a microphone. Nobody cares about it. It's not like it's very lonely and sad.
It is a Portland symbol. It's the leaf blower.
The Portland symbol is the leaf blower. We should definitely bring the leaf blower plan back to DC though, so if anybody has the funds to invest in a leaf blower, you should do it and you should bring it, because it might be needed. We also had kids with hockey sticks there that were really good at punching the tear gas back with the hockey sticks. But yeah, at many times they would also release a green gas, which is a dye, so that way they could mark you with the green gas dye and pull you into vans later. That was one of the ways that they were doing it. They would circle us all day long with the federal vans. I've gotten concerningly good at spotting them. And then they also had a surveillance plane flying over us at most of the points of the night. The surveillance plane is equipped with stuff that can stingray your phones, so they know what you're talking about on your phones when they're flying it over. So yeah, keep your phones on airplane mode. Don't text anything when you're on the phones at a protest, because they will use it. They will locate you with it, and they will use it, and they will show up at your door later.
Thanks, hey, you're great.
Thank you.
Glad you made it out here today.
I'm alive. I don't know what else to say.
My father had to deal with my water work here.
It's great. Thank you, that was great.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. I'm Jonathan Krall. I'm with Grassroots Alexandria. We have a bunch of members here happy to support. I do want to make people aware. I realize this is a big tent protest. Not everybody agrees with everybody else, but if you're into defunding the police, there are things going on here in Alexandria and here in Virginia. Okay, Tenants Workers United is sending letters to the school board asking to get the police out of our schools. If you support that, write to the school board. You don't have to support that, but for those of you who do, there's an opportunity. You're not just working by yourself here. I want to mention there's a group of people led by Black leaders in Alexandria, people from the Alexandria NAACP, like former leaders of NAACP Alexandria, called Racial Justice Alexandria, that's working at the state level to try to convince our state delegation to move money away from policing and towards other things, towards affordable housing, things like that. So if you haven't abolished the police claim of mine, not just abolish DHS, which is high on the list, top of the list, I think. Write to your state delegate. You're not alone. Okay, that's my message. You're not alone. Send these messages. You're adding to other people who are working on these things. Any questions? And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can y'all hear me?
Not really. Turn up the
Okay.
volume on the right hand side there.
No, we're allowed on the side. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. There we go. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay. So DHS has been responsible for a lot of atrocities during the Black Lives Matter protests, as you all know. But I'm here to tell you a little bit about the immigration side of things. I work in immigration law. I am proud half Mexican American. I love this country, and I think we can be a great home for a lot of people. But recently I worked with a lot of kids, a lot of really young kids, young as 4, who are separated from their parents, and they've been brought here and held in U.S. DHS custody. They're just babies. I think about them a lot during the day. We branded them as criminals because they came here looking for a better life. A lot of them were brought here and their parents died, or their parents weren't able to take care of them, so it was labeled as neglect, and they were separated from their parents, and now they're being held in foster care custody here in Virginia. There's also the Farmville Detention Center not very far down the road from here. People are dying of coronavirus. People are catching coronavirus and they're not being released. It is happening all around us. Just this week, I sent a petition to an ICE officer who is in charge of just a kid. He's a teenager who on him. He lives in fear of that every day. Someone he trusted called ICE on him, and he wound up with an ankle bracelet, and they told him he was lucky for lining up with just an ankle bracelet. We treat these people like animals. And I wrote to this ICE officer with a list of recommendations from teachers, from his social worker, saying that he was a great kid with a bright future, who had abided by all of the rules, who would show up for his court date. And the ICE officer wrote back and he said that he would not consider removing the ICE ankle bracelet. We treat these people like animals, and they're here in our city, they're here in our state, and we don't care enough about them. We care. Fuck DHS!
Defund DHS!
These are our kids! You have to protect our kids! Thank you. We care.
No more kids in cages! No more kids in cages! No more kids in cages!
No more kids in cages!
No more kids in cages!
No more kids in cages!
How do you spell fascism?
DHS!
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 No more kids in cages!
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 Never the fuck again, you hear me, Chad Wolf? Never again! And not on American soil.
So we are here.
So here we are. Here we are.
We were here 2 weeks ago. I want to say a little bit about what's just happened in the last couple of weeks. In the last 2 weeks, we found out that 2 people who were detained at ICA Farmville died from coronavirus. One of them was a 70-year-old man. I'm still trying to get details of the second one, but one of them was a 70-year-old man who was detained at ICA Farmville, contracted COVID, and then died last week. That blood is on Chad Wolf's hands, that blood is on DHS's hands, that blood is on ICE's hands. We've been warning about things like this happening ever since COVID started. Right now, over 90% of the people detained at ICA Farmville have tested positive for COVID. Can you imagine any other place in this country that has a 90% infection rate? And it's inevitable because we know the crowded conditions at Farmville, and that's just one detention facility. Carolina Detention Facility, the Carolina Detention Center, one of the other 3 major ICE detention facilities in Virginia. Also, it was either last week or the week before, another person detained there was abused by the guards with his knee on his neck while the detainee was screaming, "I can't breathe," because the detainee apparently had asked and demanded protection, health protection, because of the impending COVID pandemic that's spreading through all the detention facilities. And we've been warning, and we've been demanding that ICE free them all, free everybody in detention. And the thing is, they're trying to lay back on the Nuremberg defense, saying they're just following the orders, but they have all the discretion to do that. Every time we contact Senator Kane, Senator Warner, or a representative, one of the things that they tell, or Governor Northam, one of the things they tell us is, like, contact the ICE directors in charge of the facility because they have the discretion to do so. We contact them, and we get silence in return. And the other thing is, Governor Northam, our senators, and our local state representatives and delegates also have power here. They can declare a public health emergency. ICA Farmville is a privately run facility by Immigration Centers of America. It's not even ICE, but they're allowed to operate here. They even received Payment Protection Plan funds in the last few months to continue operating. So with all this is the system we have. I almost forgot. Even just last week, there have been more ICE raids in D.C. and more people are continuing to be sent to detention facilities in Virginia. So this keeps happening, and will keep happening as long as DHS exists. The agency isn't even 20 years old. I remember when it was first created. I remember seeing, and I was in college at the time, I remember seeing the number of international students drop to about a quarter of the level it used to be. So I remember all this happening, and then DHS was to act like it's some kind of an inevitability. But we know what they've been doing for the last 18 years, that they're going to continue to do through any administration as long as they have power, as long as they're existing. That's why we're calling to defund ICE, defund CBP, end the militarization of our borders, and end the abuse and cruelty on our neighbors, on our friends, on our families.
Right.
All right.
I have a particularly loud voice, so I'm not going to go with this for the moment. If you feel I need it, please let me know, okay? I'm here. I'm relatively new as an activist, but sitting in my house, seeing what's been going on this past year, these past few years, since Trump has been in office, is just beyond tolerable. And I'm old enough to remember when the United States looked at other countries and blamed them for their human rights offenses. I'm old enough to remember when we used to say, well, that's happening because life is cheap there, but not here in the U.S., where we value life. And that has become a very sad irony at this point. And I'm also old enough to remember when we would look at other countries and the chaos that was going on there and think, oh, how lucky we are to be in the United States where this doesn't happen here. And all of a sudden, none of those things are true. And it's a horrible thing. And I just want to say that on the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed, my dad and all his siblings, 3 brothers and a sister, all enlisted in the military so that they could fight fascism. And anti-fascism is not a new idea. Anti-fascism is an idea that this country was built on.
Right.
And we have to continue to follow through with these principles.
Hell yeah.
What's been going on is just too scary, and it's very dangerous. And people like this, like Chad Wolf, Bill Barr, Mitch McConnell, Pompeo, they are all enabling a person that they know is not fit for office in any way, psychologically, and intellectually, or personality-wise, and they know that this administration is destructive to this country, and we cannot allow these enablers to continue also. They are just as bad as the administration itself.
Hey everyone, my name is Daniel. I'm here with Shutdown in DC. We're an organization based out of the DC area. I want to take us back a couple of centuries. We've been talking a lot about what's happened the past few weeks and months, but violence started on this land in 1492 and before, when colonizers landed and massacred indigenous peoples. We're talking about DHS, we're talking about homeland security. We ripped this land from its original inhabitants. I say that as someone whose parents and grandparents were immigrants from Europe, I've built my life here. But this is stolen land. There's no question about that. This is stolen land. When we look at what's happening in Portland and all across the U.S., it's just an expression of that deep violence that America has had since its inception. And from the White House, we have a statue of Andrew Jackson, who engineered the Trail of Tears, a genocidal maniac. We don't have good presidents, in my opinion. Now, I know we want to respect other opinions. That's fine. I want to share a little bit of a different perspective here on we need to go back to the very root of the U.S. DHS is a symptom of a deeper problem. Our friends from Who Isn't Fun pointed out how they targeted medics there. That's not new. We were here a couple of weeks ago in front of Chad Wolf's house. A few days later, on July 31st, the Customs and Border Patrol raided a humanitarian camp and arrested 30-plus people who were there to give aid to folks who are trying to cross the border, who are escaping, many of them, violent situations due to either government or climate change. Increasingly, we're seeing climate migration being a thing that drives people here, and then they're met with violence. Where do you think the DHS agents in Portland learned how to kidnap people?
On the border.
The border. Where did they learn to attack medics? The border. So I want to situate us that we're in Virginia. For many of us, we've been newly mobilized by what we're seeing and angry at it, which is amazing to see. But I do want to take us a second back and remember that Black people, indigenous people, folks of color have been struggling against a government that hates them for generations. This is our chance to do something different. To say we're not going to let this happen anymore. We're stopping now. We're stopping here. We keep us safe. That's a rallying cry of mutual aid around the U.S. That's what we're trying to do. We keep us safe. Not DHS, not the police, not the government. We keep us safe.
We keep us
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
If somebody doesn't mind holding this, I'd like to talk a little bit about humanitarian aid.
Let me come over there.
I got a question. I'm a local journalist, and you're sort of neighbor screaming. And I came to the last protest, and I'm wondering what's accomplished by protesting in front of Chad Wolf's house, and is it more than just making you uncomfortable? I basically want to know what's accomplished by being in front of his house.
It's not just about making him uncomfortable, although that is part of it. No one should be comfortable in order to then execute the kind of job that he's executing. Attacking and injuring citizens of this country, right? Peaceful First Amendment practicing citizens. Senator Harris, at a hearing on Thursday on Capitol Hill, asked Chad Wolf, has DHS researched the effects of chemical irritants on pregnant women? He said, well, on the effects for crowd dispersal, yes. Has DHS researched the effects on pregnant women? No. Okay, you are a cabinet member of the Trump administration. You guys like to talk about how you don't support abortion, and you are dusting First Amendment practicing peaceful American citizens with abortion gas. About what the values are of this administration. Why are we here making Chad Wolf uncomfortable? Why? So that he can also see all of the neighbors in his community who are also already uncomfortable, who don't need to be made uncomfortable. We are all uncomfortable. I lost my job when Trump decided that he was going to ban transgender people from working in the military. I was a contractor at the time, supporting what? Logistics mission in order to make the F-35 cheaper. Kind of an expensive project, right? You would think that'd be something that we want. Well, not if trans people are involved, right? Not if trans people are involved. So I've been yelling at this administration for a long time. And the laundry list of things that's going wrong, we've got a journalist right here. This is what I want to bring up to journalists. The public health crisis that is in every American city in this country. When you have a pandemic, you have homeless people on the streets, you have half of people in danger of being evicted. You have a lot of people already being evicted, and they're joining the people in the streets. And you have porta-johns out on the streets, but only for protest days. Where are people supposed to take care of business? Okay? We have local governments that are reallocating funds to police departments without levying new taxes. Okay? For what? For what? To then make us less safe because they won't pay for people to have somewhere to use the restroom? That should be in every outlet. I saw an article by the Washington Post about it, about 2 months late. We need to be talking about it more because we're about to have a lot more homeless people in this country. And if people here want to be able to translate their aid and their anger at this injustice into something practical and productive, there are homeless people in literally every city in this country who need your help. There are so many people. They need tents. It's going to be cold this winter. They're going to need coats. They need beds. They need blankets. They need food. They need water. They need shelter. They need love. We've seen all of these churches that talk about their values. I know how many churches in D.C. have helped directly with homeless aid. It's just 2. I'm not going to name them right now. They know who they are. It's just 2. Hold your local religious institutions, which claim to hold these values, accountable to what they say their values are. Because if you don't, it's all just meaningless, right? What's even the point?
What do you want from Chad Wolf?
I want Chad Wolf to admit the truth in public. I don't want to see videos from a Senate panel showing a hand-picked set of incidents of violence from across the country over the course of 3 months without seeing videos of police departments destroying property, police departments attacking people unprovoked, peaceful people. The narrative in this country says that we are violent rioters. We are not. We are peaceful protesters. And the violence is coming to us at the hands of the state, at the hands of mercenaries under the employ of DHS, because we call them federal agents. They are contractors. These are privately employed people who don't have accountable training, who we don't have commanders-in-chief that we could talk to at a lower level than the very top. That's why we're outside Chad Wolf's house. If we knew a bunch of other houses we could go to, we'd be there too.
How often should we expect you and audiences like this in front of Mr. Wolf's house?
As often as there's will, as often as people are willing to come out here and do this. Obviously, we are citizens ourselves, and obviously the important work is that humanitarian aid. That's where the majority of our work and effort goes. I hope it's true of the folks that I don't know in the crowd. If not, we can work on that. There's ways to pipeline into it. No, I mean, that's the main gist. I wanted to talk to you guys about humanitarian aid. I mean, we just did it with a camera, right? So, yeah, please consider that. Please start stockpiling for the winter early. Those coats, there's not going to be enough of them. Please stockpile early. The more you guys can do to help your local homeless community, the less people have to die.
So just to piggyback off that theme, who here is aware of what's happening in Southern Towers here in Alexandria right now? Yeah, so Southern Towers is a very large apartment complex down near Shirlington. I believe there's over 40 active eviction cases being pursued against people. The landlord there has been attempting to establish payment plans for the folks who live there. What that means is basically they get a minor reprieve on paying rent, right? They don't have to pay it immediately, but if they don't pay it back within some amount of time, they're sent to collections for the full amount of their rent. I don't know about you, but whenever I've lost a job for 6 months, I don't magically get a job that pays 6 times more 6 months later that can pay for that. So if you want to get involved with humanitarian aid, the folks at Southern Towers need your support. They need material support. They need help with their rent strikes. There's more buildings like that around the area. There are a lot of groups who are doing this work, from Unite Here, Local 23, other groups in this crowd. So if you're a neighbor who's been radicalized by knowing that a man like Chad Wolf lives among you, there are people here who can help you get involved with those groups to do that important humanitarian work.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter!
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Chad Wolf has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho,
Chad Wolf has got to go!
hey, hey, ho, ho.
Chad Wolf has got to go! Tell the truth, Chad! Tell the truth! Tell the truth! Who's really violent? Your employees! Tell the truth, Chad! Or help you get effective tear gas. Let's make sure that he knows about it. He hasn't researched it. He's been in that public area. So let's give him some more facts. Come on.
So just a couple more things about the health effects of tear gas. Otherwise, very healthy people have spontaneously come up with kidney stones over the last month from prolonged exposure to tear gas. Otherwise, healthy men have been having seizures after long-term exposure to tear gas. I met somebody who was talking to me about their period. They described it such as bleeding sriracha sauce from long-term exposure to tear gas. So when we talk about the health effects, we don't know what the long-term health effects. Tear gas was never meant for weeks on end like it is now. It was supposed to be a one-off thing at best. We also don't even use it in actual warfare. We're only using it on civilian control. I feel like that somehow makes it worse. Raise your hands if you somehow feel like that's worse. Thank you. Yeah, so tear gas, it's not a good thing. It needs to be completely illegal. We need to get it out. Yeah, that's what I had to say about the health effects of it. Is kidney stones, bleeding sriracha sauce, miscarriages, and spontaneous periods and seizures are all things. We still don't know if it's going to have any effect on people's memories.
Yep.
We don't know what effects it's going to have on people's mental health in the long term. So things to be looking out for your friends who have been long-term exposed to it is just the various things of their mental health, because we really don't know what it's going to do. If their memory is going to get fucked up, we don't know.
Yep. Chad Wolf has had a lot to say about how resisting peaceful protesters is a part of the war on terrorism.
I don't feel like a terrorist.
If tear gassing peaceful protesters is part of a war being waged by the United States, we are a part of a thing called the Geneva Convention, which bans the use of all chemical weapons, including gas. So if you're going to give American citizens your rights, then you would give an enemy combatant in a war zone. I think that paints a pretty clear picture of why we're out here right now. There's a lot of reasons we're out here, but that's one of them.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Ban tear gas!
Ban tear gas!
Ban tear gas! Ban tear gas! Ban tear gas! Ban tear gas!
There's one other point concerning tear gas in Portland. Last night I saw a report that there may be a COVID spike in Portland right now. That is the only city that's had a lot of protests that has that issue right now, and I think we all know why. Tear gas makes people cough. Tear gas makes people take off their masks. The CDC, a long time ago, told the police not to use tear gas or pepper spray so long as the pandemic exists. Chad Wolf here, if any person in Portland dies from COVID, whether they're at a protest, got it from somebody that got it because of the tear gas, or got it from somebody that got it for that reason, however far down the line it goes, anyone dies of this outbreak in Portland, their blood is on Chad Wolf's hands.
The blood is on your hands, you hear that, Chad? Their blood is on your hands.
Their blood is on your hands.
Their blood is on your hands. Their blood is on your hands. Their blood is on your hands.
Their blood is on your hands. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay. The neighbors here have been so wonderful. They have some snacks and water for us.
Thank you all.
Before we start walking down.
American is apple pie.
Kenny, you want to go over? See something for your throat?
You know, it's going to be like this. It's kind of a constant state for me.
Hi, I'm Sikali. I'm a Mexican American. I'm the daughter of immigrants, and I just want to say what's happening at the border is an atrocity. It's a crime against humanity. I don't know how you can sleep with yourself. I don't know how he can sleep with himself in his multi-million-dollar house while there are children in cages without basic human needs. They don't have enough water. They don't have enough food. They don't even have a place to go to the bathroom. They're not protected from the coronavirus.
Tell them.
I don't know how you can live with knowing that children are dying because of you. I don't know how, like, where is your sense of ethics? Where is your morality that you are able, that you're comfortable doing this? What the hell is wrong with you? Like, are you kidding me right now? This is a country that prides itself on being the land of the free, the land of opportunity, yet we're putting people in cages just for coming here seeking a better life. My family came here seeking a better life so they could get an education, so their kids could get an education. We didn't come here to bring crime. We came here for a better life. We deserve opportunities. We deserve education just like everybody else. So we need to abolish ICE because no one is illegal on stolen land, okay?
Abolish ICE!
No one is illegal on stolen land.
No one is illegal on stolen land! No one is illegal on stolen land! No one is illegal on stolen land! No one is illegal on stolen land.
You know, I just want to say something directly to him. Chad Wolf, if you're listening to me, que chingue su madre pinche puto.
I like that fire. That's good fire.
Can you pick up the microphone and yell directly at his house?
Maybe we should tell the Secret Service to quit their jobs.
Quit your jobs,
Get a job. Get a job.
You guys can quit your jobs and do something ethical to serve your country. There are ethical things you can do to serve your country.
Like cleaning up landmines.
Yeah, there's landmines to clean up. There's humanitarian aid to do. You know?
Postal Service.
Work for the Postal Service, you know? Help assure the integrity of our elections. Make sure that people's mail-in ballots get in there. Right?
You work at election polls.
Yeah, you can go work at
Everybody
the polls.
who's a healthy individual should work at election polls this
all,
year.
all kinds of useful careers. Care for the elderly, you know? Great thing to do. Pretty sure Chad Wolf has all he needs.
Shit.
My name is Helena. I'm Chad Wolf's neighbor. I am a member of the Democratic Socialists of America.